Welcome back, I think. Maybe. So it's been a while since I made a video, and this setup is not what I normally do, but, I didn't feel like looking for the tripod that I use for my phone, and then setting up my phone, and then doing a bunch of other stuff, but I thought I would give you some crisp audio today, and some poor visual, just because I can. First things first, happy Odaiba Day. It is August 1st, and we're going to be talking about some Digimon today, because of course we are. The last upload here actually was a video about Digimon, and that happened, but I wanted to give some better thoughts, and possibly constructive thoughts. Possibly. And just sort of, now that it's been a bit, give it some time to let it sink in, really talk about how I felt about it. This video is probably gonna be 30 minutes because, well, have you been here before? And if you haven't, that's how all the videos go here. So, buckle up. If you like to try movies, maybe don't watch this. I'm also gonna be talking about the new, edition of movies that's coming. Just one so far. We don't know. We're gonna talk about that after. So first things first, I started watching the Try movies when they first came out. I kept up with them pretty regularly, up until the end. And that has a lot to do with, I think, just how much I cared about them and how engaged I was. Wasn't nearly as engaged towards the end, but we'll get to that. I actually remember the first time I watched the first Time movie, I had broken my arm that morning, which was fun, and I suffered through that whole first movie, because I thought, this is fine, maybe it's not that bad. It was that bad, and I did it anyway, and then I immediately had to call an ambulance. But I suffered through it, and it was a great movie. I really liked the direction that they were thinking of possibly going in, and I liked the new take on a lot of the older characters and how they were sort of dealing with their young adolescence, and they weren't really kids anymore, but they still technically were, but they were growing up, and it was really interesting to me. We really get to see Taichi in a whole new way, and I feel like we've never seen him quite in that way before, so it had a lot of room for new ideas and improvement and character development. After that, we kind of continued on to the trajectory of these movies are really good, and I liked where they were going with it. I really was enjoying all of these new takes on everybody. I think my favorite movie was probably the second or third one. I thought those were really well put together, and they made a lot of sense, and they were cohesive, and they were just good movies. It's after that I feel like we start to slip, and I feel like where I started to slip was where a lot of people also started to slip. And we're gonna talk about that. I'm not gonna really focus too much on like specific plot points because I don't remember every single detail about what happened in these movies because there were 6 of them and they spread them out for such a long period of time. Like the last one just came out and they announced these back in 2014. My brain doesn't retain that well. Doesn't retain that much that long, especially in between the 6 months that we had in between each movie. So around the third movie is sort of where we mark the end of the sort of slice of life things that we were getting. We were getting, slice of life, but we were also getting, oh, things are bad in the digital world, because that's how Digimon goes, right? It's what you expect. And for the most part, the slice of life stuff, I would say, is Try's high point, right? I feel like Try really shined in really just focusing on these characters and really focusing on their relationships and what they were gonna do with them. What they were gonna do with themselves and with their lives, and it was all just really set up really nicely. And then they tried to introduce these other big plot lines of like, things are going down the digital world, as it does. But this time was a lot more confusing and a lot less enjoyable in my opinion. I actually really liked how they started off everything that had to do with it. But it was, as time went on and as things got more intricate, I felt pretty confused, and nothing really made sense to me and why things were happening. And I feel like a lot of what was happening for the sake of that what they would happen, and it didn't feel like it had like a cause and effect. And I think that's something the original series did really well. 02 did well sometimes, and I feel like Try really lost that, and it tried to just build a lot of momentum and a lot of things that seemed really cool, but in the end were kind of just confusing and were happening for the sake of happening. And it didn't feel like it meshed. Didn't feel like any of it was like really doing anything, and that everything was just sort of bad and hopeless. And I feel like that's so anti what the series is about. I don't know if it was just their effort to try and make it seem more mature, but I feel like Digimon, for me personally, it's always been about the optimistic side of things, and that no matter what happens, you will always band together and things will be okay, and that you can do anything. And I feel like Try misses that mark so badly. And I feel like, especially in today's society, in today's climate, I feel like hope and positivity is something that's so needed. And everything is so gritty now, and everything is so like it's not instilling anything positive. And the original series was able to be dark and mature and still maintain that, and I feel like Try, they just don't do it at all, and it's not good. Another big thing, I really, and it just makes it sound like I'm just like being a hater, but I could never get behind Mako as a character, and I don't know why. And it frustrates me that I don't like her. I feel like Mako was just such a waste of space of a character, and she was so unneeded. And I think that stems from the fact that this set of movies, right, was marketed as the 15th, I believe, anniversary of Digimon. And so they were doing sort of what Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball and all of these other shows were doing, which was banking on that nostalgia factor, right? They were taking things that they knew people really loved, and we all assumed was going to be paying more of a tribute to it and really doing what the fans would love. And I feel like adding an extra character like that really took away from it, and some people don't feel that way at all. Of course, they are entitled to that. Personally, it just felt like the focus so quickly slipped away from the characters that had been there the whole time in Adventure in 02, and just she was all that mattered, and they sort of were making her the center of it all, and it just felt like a fan fiction, like I was reading somebody's self-insert fan fiction, and they were the character that was gonna get the protagonist, and they were gonna do it. They were gonna be the most important piece of the puzzle, and that's fine in a fan fiction. It's not fine in a series you've set up for 15 plus years with a specific set of characters, with all of these very specific things, and then to just pay them dust towards the end of their not even towards the end, just throughout the entire thing. My biggest gripe, I think, is especially the movie in which Mako shares with Hikari, and I feel so many strong feelings about that in particular. I can never go back and rewatch that. I think I would just explode from how they did Hikari dirty. I'm gonna say it because they did. She gets focused maybe the last part of that movie, and I feel like that's such a disservice to her character. When I think I touched on this in the last video I did on this, which was me in Instagram stories, just talking about this because I was very angry. But they built up so much around Hikari. They built up, her weird. She's probably maybe a little bit of Jesus for the digital world, and she glows, and she's got this really intense connection with the digital world and with other places and with the Dark Ocean, and she is aware of all of these other universes that are intertwined and connected, but they never quite touch. And it was so much that they set up and then left for dead in pretty much everything else that they continue to do with this series. I feel like she in particular, Hikari obviously came in as a character more towards the end of Adventure, and so she obviously didn't get much focus there, but she was always sprinkled throughout, and the parts that we did get to see were sort of mysterious and very cool. And then later on in Zero 2, we get her, right? But it's not. The writing is so all over the place in Zero 2. It doesn't feel like anything, really. I feel like Try was such an opportunity to use her as more than just like, hey, things are happening. Here's this really dramatic thing that's gonna happen. Hikari is gonna jumpstart it, and I feel like they use her for what they always used her for, and that's so disappointing because she could be more than just like the thing that kicks off like, oh, things are getting real serious. Instead, they could make her more. I think I really liked how they wrote her like in the beginning of Zero 2, right? Where she's sort of still like got an attitude and she's kind of spunky and she's still very sweet, but she very much became her own person. And then of course that fizzles out towards the end because it's Digimon, but she at least had that, and I feel like she didn't really even have that in Try to begin with, which sort of sucks. And I feel like Takeru sort of gets that same treatment, and so does Joe. Oh my god, there were so many times that I just forgot he was there, and that sucks. And because I feel like he's such a cool character, and he did get a lot of focus in Adventure, and obviously Zero 2 was a different beast on its own. But for him to just be so ignored in Try, besides his one little movie, and that wasn't even really focused on him. I feel like it was more about Mimi than anything. Everything about this set of movies is so unbalanced and so poorly written, and it's the disappointment of what could have been, right? I think how I felt about the Try movies really hinges on the fact that I had expectations, and I had all of these cool ideas that I thought that they would maybe implement, and they didn't, obviously. And I think I felt just disappointed in that I had waited so long, and there was so much time in between these movies. It felt like I was just being strung along by like a terrible like significant other of like promises that maybe something good will happen, maybe it won't be as bad as I think, and then it always is. The last two movies, I feel like they have some of the worst writing, but there are also some of my favorite moments, especially in the last movie. I again touched upon this in my last video, but a lot of the stuff with Yamato is amazing, and I feel like, first of all, why did you wait this long to do it? Second of all, I mean, really, that's the only really good thing I can actually say about that, is a lot of the development I feel like Yamato gets, and that he really steps up in Try in that last movie, and it made me so proud of him. But of course, everything still kind of goes to shit and everything's awful. But I really liked that moment. I really enjoyed what we did get of Hikari and Takeru. I feel like their scenes in the last movie are really good. They're not the most interesting, but they are a nice breakaway, and I actually feel like those are very original series, and that their bond is so. We hear always about how important their bond is, right? And we hear about it all the time, and we are told over and over again how important their bond is. but I feel like we never quite get to see it, and I feel like at least that little 10-minute segment, if that, we actually do. And that's so much wasted opportunity. I've already been ranting for quite a long time, so I'm gonna end it by saying Try was a lot of missed opportunity and a lot of bad writing and a lot of vagueness and a lot of confusion that even as somebody that I like to think I'm pretty well versed in that universe, that it just didn't make any sense, and it was too all over the place, and I was constantly being like, what the fuck is happening? And I feel like that's not, these movies weren't it's not like these new remakes that are being made for children, right? This was made for people our age. These were being made for people our age, people that had grown up with it, and so I feel like there was such a disconnect between that, and I wasn't happy with it, and I feel like they had so much material that just that's all I can say is they pumped it, and makes me sad. Makes me real sad and disappointed. I don't know if I would exactly not suggest people watch these movies. I think they are decent movies, and I think if you just want more content, they're good. Personally, I don't consider them very canon. I know that the series director didn't work on these, so that is a big reason I think they don't make a lot of sense, especially within the canon. And yeah, I would. The movies are out on DVD now. The dub cast, amazing. I really like them. I have 4 of the movies out right now. I think the 5th one comes out actually this week, or next week or so. And I like the dub. The dub is very good. Not too excited about the dub song that they decided to use, but you know. We can't have them all. I actually just looked over and I only have 3. I think about 4 or 5 are actually out though. And you can find them at like Walmart and stuff, so. Now, on to the news that came out, as of, so I'm recording this on, what's today, Wednesday? This came out Monday. They're making so it's the 20-year coming up anniversary of the They're making a movie. This is, again, nostalgia is really, their toy is pulling that in, huh? And, but they are adults now, and they are, I believe they said Taichi and Namato are 22 years old as I am, which is awesome. And that's the only news we have so far. A lot of the original movie character designer, I believe, is on board, and a lot of the OG staff is going to be back, which is really exciting. A lot of old designers for the Digimon are also back, and I believe one of the old series directors, I'd have to go back and look, but that personally put a lot more faith in me about how this might turn out. I don't think it's going to be another series of movies. I think this is one secular movie that we are going to get to enjoy, and hopefully Crunchyroll ends up getting it as well. I'm personally excited. I'm gonna put the images. They put up some pictures about what Yamato and Tachi look like now. I think it is interesting. Do I think this movie is going to be good? I am optimistic. Now, I was very over the top excited about Try, and I think most of us were. But a lot of people had a lot of things they already didn't like about Try, like the art style and just the fact that Zero Two was basically not there, and that turned a lot of people off. But I think the adventure movie, they said it is going to feature pretty much just the original characters. You got me already. So I don't think even Try is connected. I think especially considering the staff of who wasn't on Try and who was, I think this is very much its own thing, and I think I think a look inside their adult lives is going to be really interesting because a lot of us are adults now, and to see, I think seeing them older was really interesting in high school, but it was still a lot of things we couldn't quite relate to. But you know, with them being 22, and you know, Joel will be, I believe like 23-ish, 24. You know, they're all adults now. Even the younger kids are going to be like 18 or so, which is super crazy. And I love the possibilities that this is going to bring. I don't know if they're going to keep in line with canon of the ending of 02, which is always a little bit of how well that actually fits in canon of what we know of these characters. But I'm more optimistic about this. I'm cautiously optimistic just based on how Try made me feel. I feel like I'm such an easy person to please when it comes to media. I like pretty much every garbage thing. So when something is that upsetting to me and that bad, you messed up real bad. But the new adventure movie looks interesting. I already like the design, sort of. They could use a little more shading, but I like the base of what is going to be happening. I assume we'll be getting this sometime next year, because that would be a full on 20 years since everything. So I'm excited, guys. Are you guys excited? Tell me in the comments below, and tell me your favorite Digimon memory, because it's Odaiba Day. Mine, I think, would have to be, oh man, I have so many. I think one of my favorite memories was as a kid just waking up, because I didn't see Digimon as it was first airing. I saw it when it aired on Jetix, and I just remember waking up at like 5 a.m. every morning just so I could catch Digimon episodes, because they would play them at night as well. But, you know, maybe they were gonna be different. Maybe they were ones I hadn't seen before. And so I would wake up, especially early, and I would watch them. And it was, I remember I always specifically caught the Princess Mimi episode, and that has become one of my favorites just because it's so nostalgic. And I love that episode. It's so good. I love adventure. If you want to watch more of my Digimon videos, I'm going to link an episode I did on Odaiba Day a couple years ago with my friends Catherine and Adriana. And also, we have a podcast, sort of. It is a little bit off the ground. We are still working on it. We started it at a time where we thought we were going to have lots of time, and then life comes at you fast. But we've been smoothing things out. We're still planning, and hopefully that comes back soon. We still have a lot of plans for that, and I'll link my raw thoughts from Try also at the end of this video. So that's gonna be quite interesting for you guys. Again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye bye.